to Mike Mayo, which if the Panthers are down, 3-1 after two periods, I would have to say I defer to the notion that, well, I have to get up early tomorrow. I don't think I'll be able to watch the rest of this game. Because who would want to sit with an incredible rat like Mayo? I had to take it all day yesterday on the radio show. I fired back with everything I had. I even said that the officiating was very fine.
You brought up the refs and hockey.
Favor the Capitals, like a joke of an argument. Yeah.
That's great. We're desperate when we're bitching about refs and hockey.
Refs, and hockey refs. Man, they call a lot of penalties. You know what? If you looked at it, very pathetic state of mind to be in. That's what happens when you got a big mouth.
Yep.
And you start losing a bet. So I give Mayo all the liberty he wants. I mean, if he's up 2-0 when he comes on the show tomorrow, I'll just give him the whole show. No point in us coming back with anything. It's like an argument with your wife, right? What's the point of coming back with something?
Yeah.
You think she's buying your argument? Of course not. That's why you're fighting in the first place.
Exactly.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning on this fine Friday. Jeff Deforrest and Mike Lubitz with you. The Defo Show here on Ion Channel, various other platforms that we perform on. And very happy to have you with us for this edition of the show. A Degenerate Friday will include the professor and the big board. And the aforementioned, although the trends are not favorable here, Mr. Michael Lubitz, the trends are not favorable if you looked at the action from last night's NHL activity, where you had 4 games, and in all 4 situations, well, I guess, all 4 situations, I believe the series was at 3-2.
Yeah.
3-2. All series were at 3-2.
Yeah.
And these were game 6s. You had Boston and Carolina, and the Bruins prevailed there, so they knotted that thing up at 3-3 on the home ice. The Bostonians, New Englanders, were all happy. They were getting some delightful, unseasonably warm weather for this time of the year, and they got themselves a hot victory last night. Boston dominant over Carolina, and then you had Tampa Bay and Toronto. Toronto was leading that series 3-2. I don't think, Toronto has a playoff drought that goes back and may even exceed the Florida Panthers in terms of long-term droughts without winning a first-round playoff series. I'm not sure if it's just first round, but Toronto hasn't done squat since, Toe Blake was their coach. So Tampa Bay prevails there, of course, on their home ice. So now that one's knotted up at 3 apiece. And Edmonton and the L.A. Kings were up 3-2 in that series, but Edmonton wins there. And so they're now knotted up at 3 apiece. So you forced 3 of the 4 situations ended up forcing a Game 7. And then St. Louis eliminated Minnesota, which was my secret sleeper team. This shows you how much I know about hockey. It's why it's so comical and farcical that everybody's a hockey expert all of a sudden. And we'll be riveted to the game tonight. And no doubt on Monday, we'll have our expert analysis of what happened, what went right, what went wrong, what Brunette should have done. Is it Brunette? Brunette, right? Like as in, Blonde versus Brunette? Yeah.
Yes, Andrew Brunette. That's right.
Isn't that amazing? The guy's been the head coach of the team 3/4 of the season. And I still don't even know his name, but I could tell you what he's doing wrong. That's for sure.
Exactly.
But anyway, so St. Louis eliminated Minnesota. At one point, I was watching Marc-André Fleury, the goalie from Minnesota, and he was during this part of the season, he was on some kind of a hot streak, and I thought, wow, there it is. Minnesota, a team that nobody talks about because, let's face it, they play in Minnesota. And nobody cares about the Timberwolves. Nobody cares about the Wild. Nobody cares about the Twins. Nobody cares about the Vikings. Nobody cares about shit that happens in Minnesota except snow and walleye. We discovered that by being there. And still, it's an unanswered question. Is it not, Mike Lubitz? Yeah. An unanswered question. We know why it happened, but how the hell does the NFL decide to hold a Super Bowl in Minneapolis? I mean, are you kidding me? Right? The worst decision ever outside of maybe having it in New York City, which on the surface you would think, all right, Super Bowl, New York City, kind of nice there, big metropolitan area, but turned out to be an asinine idea. And they couldn't have done more to ruin the chances of having a successful Super Bowl and still pulled it off. Although they'll never show you the pictures. It's kind of like waiting at a Republican rally to see clips of the Capitol riot on January 6th. And all they show you is like a tour going through there of guys in Viking helmets and they're all being very well behaved. Oh, is that Lincoln? I love that portrait. They don't show them graffitiing the wall of Nancy Pelosi's office or some guy, taking a dump in her chair. They don't show you any of that. Cops being caught with their arms in the door. None of that.
Man.
Yeah, but they don't show you after the New York Super Bowl. You'll never see clips of the crowd getting stuck there. Yeah, and nobody being able to move for like a week after the game was over.
After the game, it snowed. During the game, it was beautiful and it was perfect, but it snowed the entire time before and after.
Like 100,000 people just stranded outside of what was MetLife Stadium. Is it still MetLife Stadium at the Meadowlands? Not sure. I mean, the name changes of stadium. There was a time where I took a lot of pride in knowing the names of like the managers and coaches of teams, and especially stadium names. You wanted to get that right. And yet, with all the changing circumstances with advertising, I mean, who knew? It took me half a season to realize that they were calling what was the BB&T Center and various other entitled sponsorship associations with the arena and Sunrise. And who knew it was like the Florida Live Arena? And what the hell is Florida Live? What does that represent?
I don't know.
Is that a television show? It sounds like something that might be airing on Ion Channel, doesn't it? Stay tuned for Florida Live right after the Defo Show. We'll have all the latest cooking tips. And I mean, doesn't it sound like some kind of morning show, Florida Live?
Morning show, 100%. Yes.
Yeah. Something that might be syndicated around the state. Yeah, we're in 5 big markets. That's right. Jacksonville, Tampa, Orlando. We're over here in Fort Pierce. And that would be, I mean, a Florida syndication is kind of hokey to begin with. But nonetheless, trend's not good last night, Lubie, in terms of our chances of wrapping up this series and quieting, once again, Mike Mayo once and for all, and having him on the hook, having to come up with various alternatives for where we're going to eat this dinner that he's going to buy. Now, out of, fairness, we should say that Mayo is going to join us later on in the program. He forsook. Is it forsook? He forsook almost, over 2.5 to 1 odds.
Oh,
He could have gotten 5-2 on the Capitals to win the series, but he decided to be a gentleman about the whole thing and make it a straight up bet, which, for my money, is a little bit Michigan, is it not? I mean, you're getting into a 2.5 to 1 underdog.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're taking even money. Doesn't really speak well, but that's how confident he was.
Yes.
That the Panther organization was just cursed to be a choking bunch of dogs, and that this team had proven nothing in a regular season by being the best team in hockey, winning the President's Cup and all of that, and was going to fall on its face, its collective face, which to a large extent they have. I mean, they're very lucky to be in a 3-2 up position here, going back to Washington for tonight's Game 6, which I believe all of those wins that forced Game 7s were wins by the home team. And there are a bunch of series where the home team has won every game. That is not the case here with the Florida Panthers. But nonetheless, you have to ask yourself, with the Heat, who won last night, and they won easily in Philadelphia, you thought that momentum they gathered in Game 5 was enough to carry over to lead them to a victory in Game 6. And that was pretty much true. Game 6 was... Yeah, Game 6 was very much like Game 5 in a lot of ways. Heat in control pretty much throughout. Philadelphia not really making any kind of serious threat in the entirety of the ball game, and eventually losing by, 10 points? 9 points, 99-90.
Yeah, I mean, the game was over. The last 3 minutes, they made a push and
it was 20, with a couple of minutes to go.
Yeah. 20 with like 4.5 left. Like or 20 with like 6 left. Like they made a push to make it look prettier, but the game, they never got within less than 11 until like the last shot.
Did you get served with the search warrant, by the way? Did somebody come to your house with a search warrant this morning looking for James Harden again?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
In a clutch series clinching game for the opposition?
He had 1 quarter.
Nothing.
I love it. 1 quarter, and everyone's like, it's the Sixers. And I was like, it's the Sixers. The Heat have played the worst games they've ever played in the playoffs for 2 games, guys. Like, relax.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So they win, and that was good. That's a good development. And they await the winner of the Milwaukee Bucks-Celtics series. Many people feel the Celtics will still prevail in this series. I'm not sure that I'm among those because the Bucks stealing that victory in game number 5, now up 3-2, go back to Milwaukee for, tonight's Game 6?
Yes.
That series is a little hard to follow from a scheduling standpoint because it's every 5 days they play a game.
No, they play tonight. That last weekend they wanted really badly to have Warriors, Grizzlies, Bucks, Celtics on Saturday. They wanted it last Saturday really badly, but no, this week is tonight. Both of those games are tonight.
And what do you think, Mike Lubitz? Should the Celtics find a way to scratch out a win, send it back to Boston, and win the series to face the Heat? Or is it going to be another matchup against what's become? I think Milwaukee is a much more bitter rival now.
Oh yeah,
of the Miami Heat than the Boston Celtics could possibly present.
Like
These two teams don't like each other.
Yes, I don't like either team, but the Heat, yes, they did face the Eastern Conference Finals, and it was actually somewhat of a war a couple of years ago. But the Heat swept, or the gentlemen sweep that same year over the Bucks, and then last year the Bucks swept the Heat literally. So, and they don't, and
they pounded them. I mean, they were vastly superior to this.
Well, and they talked a lot of trash. They said, "Well, we learned our lessons," and da 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 da. No, I mean the Heat had everyone hurt. Like that's a load of garbage. Like you didn't learn a goddamn. But anyways, as a fan, you can tell I'm so bitter. So the Heat, I'm sure, are even more bitter. So yes, the two teams don't like, but it looks like the Celtics and Bucks don't like each other either. It's been a pretty contentious series. I feel like the Bucks wrap it up. Like much like I felt like the Heat would wrap it up. Like the Bucks are now a champion. You know, when you get to this point, if you let the Celtics back in and they're going back to Boston, you don't want a game 7 in Boston. Yeah, they pulled out of their rear this last game. I don't know if that's happening in a game 7. So I think Giannis was played out of his freaking mind. He's been the only guy better, really, game to game than Jimmy Butler in these playoffs. And now Drew Holiday has shown his mettle. That what he did in that last minute was ridiculous. So I think the Bucks will close it out tonight. I don't know what the hell to do with the Warriors series, because to me I thought the Warriors it would be over the last game. They lost by 80. So
they were down 56. I thought they were down 60 at one point.
But still 56.
They were down 56. They eventually lost by 39. But
come on,
that's a strange one to figure. And again, without Ja Morant in there for the Memphis Grizzlies, they look great.
Better.
Vastly superior to the team that had one of the. I mean, this guy could be right now the top star in the NBA.
He played really well.
If he, was doing this for a couple of more years, you would have to say that he would be like the number one attraction in the NBA, Ja Morant. And they're doing it without him. And they played better without him in the regular season, which is really, really a seeming aberration. But nonetheless, I mean, it's hard to picture Golden State playing that badly again. I don't know about Memphis playing that well. But the series shifts on the road. And we've seen strangeness in the Western series, too, because I would have thought that Phoenix was going to go ahead and capitalize last night, quiet the whole thing down with the Dallas Mavericks, and instead we're going to see a lot of Mark Cuban over the next couple of days as the Phoenix Suns now forced to a Game 7. And this was a team that was far and away, record-wise, the best team in the NBA this year. Their coach is a coach of the year, and they got, I hate to bring it up, Devin Booker playing great. Chris Paul was playing great. They have other assets. Ayton has turned into a really, really sharp pickup. A lot of people thought that was a bit of a stretch. Maybe it wasn't the greatest year to have the number 1 overall pick, and they got this guy, and he's really developed into a force, blends in perfectly with the other guys on the team. Seems to be a team that has tremendous internal chemistry, and yet they go on the road in Dallas last night and get clobbered. I mean, just annihilated. Making you think, how vulnerable is that Phoenix Suns team? How could they possibly be that much of a Jekyll and Hyde club where they slaughter Dallas the previous game and then lose by like 30 points last night? 113-86, more than that. Yeah, 27 points. Yeah, unbelievable.
Yes. When Booker was fine, but 8 turnovers. Like I don't know what's happened to this. Like I'm so confused. Like the Heat actually, even I got a little nervous there. And then the last 2 games, they really showed, look, there's a reason we were in the finals 2 years ago. Last year was we had played like for a year straight.
The man you wanted on the bench was great last night, Max Strus.
I don't want Max.
Went for 20 and 11. How does Strus get 11 rebounds? He's not a rebounder.
No, he's not in 20 points. He shouldn't be the Heat's second leading scorer, but that shows what this team is, outside of those 2 games. But I still thought that he were not on the same rung as the Suns and the Warriors when the Warriors were playing the way we saw them play the last 3 weeks or so in the beginning.
I mean, is that just one you put a line through and scratch it out? I mean, the horse throws in a stinker, runs last one time after winning 4 in a row, and you're coming back and you see that he's like 3-1 the next time out. Do you throw out the last race and figure that was just a fluke? That would be my tendency to believe that was the case. But Golden State,
we did it with the Heat because the Heat hadn't shown any, like when they had that one really bad game versus Sixers, and we're like, what the hell? But they had never done that the entire playoffs. The fact that the Suns have now done it twice in this series. The fact that now it's not that the Warriors, look, you lose by 15 or 20 in the end. You know, it's close like that Heat game again, like we talked about. It was like 5 points, and the other one was 3 points with 4 minutes or less, and you lose by 15. 20, whatever, it happens. The Warriors being down by 50 something, like, and losing by 39, like that's just pride. Like, how do you let it get to that point?
I guess once it gets away, it could be anything. But they did bounce back there in the end there, and they cut that 56-point deficit down to 39. So, the thing, I always go to. I mean, don't start crying about a team pouring it on. Just try to win the fourth quarter. Maybe that's the way to look at that. I'm expecting that thing, to reverse, at least have it be a contentious game tonight. And I wouldn't necessarily put my faith in the Memphis Grizzlies. So if I were you on a Degenerate Friday, I would unload Grizzlies money line.
Yeah, because it feels Warriors.
I didn't even check the odds on this game yet, because you would have to imagine Golden State going to be favored at home, and that's after losing a game by 39 points.
Oh, this is actually pretty impressive.
8.5.
8 and a hook.
Yeah.
In the hook.
Wow.
It's like you with the Heat yesterday. You nailed it. You're like, why are the Heat the underdog? Like by 2 and a hook. Like if they're so they'll
you were getting I think 2.5 or 3.5 with the Heat last night. and there was no reason to believe that Philadelphia looked like a beaten team, though.
Yes.
I mean, they looked beaten down. Joel Embiid was getting pounded, and James Harden all of a sudden had reverted to the James Harden that we become accustomed to seeing in clutch situations, which is a non-factor.
Yep.
Now, he'd already been reduced in terms of not being the explosive, unguardable scorer that he was throughout most of his career. But, he definitely was nowhere near that level of play anymore this season with either the Brooklyn Nets or with the Philadelphia 76ers. But it's hard to imagine that, the game that we saw in Game 5 with the Miami Heat wasn't going to be somewhat similar to what we saw in Game 6, and yet you were getting points with the Miami Heat.
Yep.
That would have been a nice little parlay. See, if you realize that the Heat just threw in a couple of stinkers, that they were going to go back home, figure out what to do about Embiid, that Harden was going to disappear, that Doc Rivers was coaching against Eric Spoelstra. You could have thrown a deuce down on the Miami Heat in game number 5, figuring that was almost a gimme.
Yeah,
and they were only laying 3.5 in that game, and they ended up winning by a substantial margin. And then come right back and parlay the whole thing on the money line with the Heat last night, as Dave Gergely suggested, and you would have made yourself a nice score. But you know what that is, Lubie? That's typical of any degenerate.
After the fact,
because I'm sitting on the throne figuring out, okay, what do we got today?
Exactly.
And then I realized, much like my non-back wheel of the favorite epicenter in a Kentucky Derby that cost me $2,000 in potential winnings. This was the same thing, and I'm not a guy that's going to whip out a couple of sticks and bet on a sports game anyway. I mean, I just don't do that. I'm not a huge sports bettor. I love following it. I don't necessarily get involved very often. But if you were going to, that would have been a good play, and of course we didn't do it. So there's another $400 right out the window.
Another lamenting.
So in mine bets alone that we didn't make, mine bets.
I know.
Getting shut out on a mine bet. I'm down 2,400 over the last
it's like 6 days.
Couple of days, yeah. And you guys are tuning in to get my advice on things?
I hope that's not why they're tuning in.
Unbelievable. Andy's alive. That's a good thing. I was betting the over on Andy making it through the week after. I hope he's okay. He was talking procedures and surgeries and various other things, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm happy just to take my walk of life and take a pounding every now and then at the ponies. But hospitals and all of that, all bets are off once you're in the care of the medical field out there. All right, so NBA action still very hot. NHL tonight. Any predictions? You're expecting the Panthers to wrap it up. I'm expecting to have to schwitz it out in a Game 7. I really am.
I'm hoping and I'm thinking that what we saw finally was the Panthers we've seen all year long. And Bobrovsky woke up, which I don't expect him to stand on his head like he did in that third period. But I think if they can play aggressive like we saw the second and third period, it's enough where you can overcome Bobrovsky's 2 stupid goals. So what we saw that game was even more so than what we saw in game 1, where they eventually pulled ahead. Like the fact that they were down 3-0 and they weren't sweating and they just kept scoring, and they still can't score on the power play, which I don't understand.
That has to end tonight, doesn't it? I mean, how can you go in a whole series, like a 6-game series, where you've had what? I mean, at least 14 power plays that we know of. 16.
They're over 16. Like an accident.
It seems like a veritable impossibility that in a 5-on-4 situation, you could go 0 for 16. And yet, the one time that they really needed with the man advantage, when they pulled a goalie, they actually scratched out a goal inside of a couple of minutes. They did. So I'm hoping to get off to a fast start tonight. I really am, because I'm tired of being in a hole. I'm tired of getting texts from Mike Mayo. Come on, Mayo. Enough of that already, right? And then he acts like, oh, well, I'm resigned to the fact that I'm going to lose. Just, this has to end. It's become a war. It really has, between us and the gambling gourmet, Mike Mayo. And then, you know how they do that. I mean, it's like, the guy that's doing the interrogation, they played a good cop, bad cop. He is both.
Yes.
At the same time. He is both. Because he tries to soften you up by saying, well, I knew all along that you guys were going to be right. And then at the same time, he's dying inside, because he's probably, I don't know where he's going to wall himself in to watch this Game 6, but I would imagine that he would have to have some kind of protective covering on the wall, i.e. padded room, if indeed the Florida Panthers can find their game early in the game instead of trying to dig their way. And that kind of was part of their DNA during the regular season. They came out of a lot of negative situations. But how about getting off to a good start, huh? How about a couple of big saves by Bobrovsky in the first period, 2 goals, Huberdeau and Barkov, and then, boom, we just coast to a nice, easy win. Relaxed, our feet up. Yeah, sweetie, can you bring me another drink? Yeah, no problem. Somewhere where we know we're going to end up not having – it's not even about the money anymore. It's just not having to pay this man, as they said in Rounders. We don't want to pay that man his money.
Exactly.
And watch him feed his face on our dime, right? With the meter running. It's like being in a cab on the way to the airport back in the day before they had flat fees for such things. Yep. And you're asking a guy, since when do you take 8th Street to get to JFK? What are you talking about?
Exactly.
I had that phobia, though. I don't know if it's because
I hate that.
Yep. I hate getting ripped off on rides.
Yep.
Getting badly hosed in restaurants and hotel rooms. 3 things I really hate paying for.
Yep.
I don't mind paying whatever the going rate is, but when you're in a cab and you're just at a light and the meter's going in New York City, and all of a sudden you've been sitting there at a red light and it's gone from $3 to $8.
Yeah. You're like, what the hell?
You're like, let me out. I'm going to take the bus.
Exactly.
Oh my God. No, I don't know why. That always bothers me. I'm always watching the meter. Like, hey, could you hurry up? It's almost going to hit $20 here in a minute. That same ride was 15 yesterday, Jack. What are we talking about here? Now with Uber and all of that, it doesn't matter anymore. Although I would imagine Uber is getting prohibitive also, is it not?
It just depends. Yeah, I mean, some of these. My mother-in-law came back from Miami, and so we took an Uber to Miami to go out to Greece, and it was like 60. I don't know. It was asinine, but it was like 60. So she flew back on a Saturday night, because we went like a weekday during the morning. She flew back on a Saturday night when we were at the fights. She's trying to get a ride, and all of us had stuff going on. So she was trying to Uber, and it was like 120.
Wow.
140. I was like, what?
Oh, yeah, that F1 thing going on too.
That F1, and it was a Saturday night. Like I think between heat or pain, there was.
Now, does the driver get to keep most of that, or how much of that is going to the company?
Most of it.
When they start price gouging like that, does the driver? I would imagine the driver makes out. They get a standard percentage. Although the Uber service in Miami, the best place I've ever been for any kind of Uber service. Maybe because there aren't that many, as many people there. But Atlantic City, New Jersey, the best Uber service I've ever seen. Anytime you called an Uber, no matter where you were, no matter where you were going, it was always 2 minutes. They'll be there. Okay. And 2 minutes later, they were there.
Oh, that's good.
The other night, I had to Uber to pick up the Mustang. Had gone to get a bunch of tests at Holy Cross Hospital.
Yeah.
So we call an Uber, and I'm literally waiting like 45 minutes.
Oh, Jesus.
And after the guy said he was going to be there in 8 minutes, 45 minutes, and then he keeps. I don't have the service on my phone, so the Mustang had to order it for me, and she's telling me, "Oh no, the guy's 16 minutes away."
What the fuck?
It's like 16 minutes away. That was like an hour ago. What are you talking about? And our place is a little difficult to find in terms of the actual unit. So, I go and meet the guy in the front. Still couldn't find a guy. Needed a search warrant to find his cat. And I finally got there. And then he didn't know where he was going. Had no idea. I'm going 3 miles. And the guy had no idea where the hell he was going. I should have walked it.
Oh, God.
But, it was late at night. I wanted to get there. And, the Mustang's out of the hospital. She's waiting by the front door. And this guy's clowning around. Stops in the middle of the road and says, I said, what are you doing? He goes, oh, no, we have to stop here. I said, you're in the middle of the freaking road. A1A, in the middle lane there. What are you talking about? There's only 3 lanes.
We have to stop here.
I said, who said you got to stop there? Just drive. You're sugar, man.
Jesus, Defo, what the
Very
hell?
poor service here in Miami and South Florida. Uber. I don't know if it's the same. It must be a nightmare in L.A. to have to order an Uber, which I would imagine is very popular there. All right, many things to get to here on the program. We're going to talk to the professor here in short order. The professor has the big board. Mike Mayo, the gambling gourmet. No doubt we'll touch about. He really has defined the mashugana nature of any degenerate gambler. And I would imagine, I don't know, he covered hockey for a while. You think he ever bet on the games? He's not a big sports bettor either.
No, I don't think so.
So I can't imagine that he was betting hockey parlays, which you have to be almost insane to do it anyway. Is there somebody out there that really feels like they have an edge when they're betting hockey games? I bet if, here I am. I'm betting if the professor started betting hockey, we would become very good at it.
No, he hasn't. It's hockey and NBA, and even he used to bet baseball, and even baseball he sort of doesn't bet that much anymore.
Baseball is fun to bet if you're like in a sports book. No, I'll do that. I'll make a 3-team parlay, lose 2 of the 3, and get some excitement out of it. If you're alive to the 3rd game, you obviously feel very good about yourself. My son, Jesse, when he was 8, hit a 5-team parlay. We were in the Bahamas. Remember when they opened up the sports book there? I think it was called the Princess Casino. It was in Freeport, which, I don't want to imply that maybe it isn't up to the standard of some other areas of the Caribbean, but right out of, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, right? First thing you think when you land in Freeport is, what a dump.
Yes, 100%.
For a resort, it's a dump, you would have to say. And with apologies, I know we have many fans over the years in the Bahamas. But,
you can hear us. Right.
Loud and clear in the Bahamas. In fact, I think Ion Channel has some big numbers in the Bahamas. We have to check with Jack on that. But, it's a dump. Not that Nassau is all that palatial, but Freeport is a dump, is it not?
Nassau's okay. Like, you go there, you're like, it's Nassau.
Still never forget, when they first opened that sports book, of course, it was a thing where, and I think my good friend Parrish Lamb was actually one of the managers there, although I didn't know him at the time. Came to find out later that he was heavily involved with the Princess Casino while they were open. Had the first sports book anywhere in this country or nearby. I mean, where you could go down there and just hang out like you were in Las Vegas, bet a game or two. I'll never forget there was a guy that we call the Albino, and the Polyman and I went down there to pitch the casino on some advertising on our horse racing show. So we fly over there, we meet the manager, we have a brief meeting. I don't think it resulted in any kind of they may have actually come on as a sponsor. So we were feeling pretty good. We go down to the sports book because we have like a midnight flight out of there. And the only other guy in the sports book is this guy that we can know from the racetrack that we call the Albino. Mm. And now the last time we had seen the Albino, some loan shark type, guy like Vino was kicking the shit out of him on the 4th floor rooftop at Calder Racecourse and saying, you better have it by Wednesday.
Oh, Jesus.
And the guy was like all bandaged up. And that was like years before this. So we see the guy there and we're thinking, what on earth would possess this guy? He's cheering and, fretting over every basket in a Seattle Supersonics game against, I don't know, like the L.A. Clippers. They might have been the San Diego Clippers at the time. I don't even know. But anyway, and he's living and dying with every point. And I'm sitting there with the Polyman going, what on earth would possess a guy to fly over here just to bet this basketball game and then fly back like that same night by himself?
Yeah.
And the obvious answer was he had already tapped out his, ability and his credit with any bookmaker. And so this was the only way he was going to have action on the game. And he was that sick. I mean, the guy was like James Conn and a gambler, literally listening to that Laker game when Jerry West missed the 3 to make 2. And then he just fires the radio against the wall while he's in the bathtub. Battery pieces are flying backwards in his face. But that was it, right? I mean, if you see a circumstance like that, which would be rare today because you can pretty much bet anywhere. Online, though, you have to have money in your account, don't you? They're not taking action on the come like a bookmaker would.
No, you need to pay ahead. That's the whole problem.
Yeah.
For some people, they like to, make a bet and then pay later. A casino or
not pay at all, which was the case, I guess, with the albino and various, places where he had wagered, which became very uncomfortable. He was a guy that you always saw with like a bandage on his head.
Oh, God.
And then I saw him years later, and, I'm thinking, to myself, guy took another beating. And it turned out he had like some bout with skin cancer.
Oh, God.
He was better off that way, though, right?
Yeah.
At least that way he knew it was going to be removed and eventually heal. But that was it. The Princess Casino many, many years ago. And the only reason to be there was because you couldn't get any credit from any bookmaker in the United States of America. But no, that was like the first place where you could wager on any kind of sporting events. And no, it was all right. I mean, for what it was wildly popular with a lot of people here, especially from Miami, where you would figure if ever there was a place that should have the approval for sports wagering, it would be the state of Florida.
Oh, yeah.
We're still waiting on that. That's my political statement for the day. All right, Hialeah Park. Speaking of wagering, and Hialeah got hosed when they shut that whole thing down, right? They were going to be one of the sites there where the Seminoles had the, business of being the hub for all gambling, which little strange, wasn't it? That somehow Governor Ron came out of a meeting at 4 a.m. at some diner in Micanopy. Maybe it was the, what was that? What's the name of the place?
Your favorite.
The Risque, Cafe Risque.
Cafe Risque. Good job.
Yeah. So he comes out of there with the chief. And can we call it? I mean, I guess it is like the chief, right?
He was the chief, yeah, usually.
So the chief's in there looking like Danny Little Red Lopez with a headdress on and all of this stuff. And here comes Ron DeSantis with the hair little greased up and, the lovely wife and all of that. And they come out of there all smiles. The chief's carrying, DeSantis is carrying a black suitcase full of cash. Does he hand that off to one of the henchmen? Or
I would hope.
But how was that deal ever made? I mean, nobody was in favor of it except the two guys that made the deal.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's how DeSantis does most of his stuff. I mean, he doesn't care about any of that.
Nothing. Yeah. I mean, how it appears.
Disney? Who goes after Disney? Neither side goes after Disney. Like, who goes after Disney?
The appearance of impropriety means nothing to, I'm going to say, should we throw a blanket over just Republicans in general? Maybe we're going to get ourselves in a jackpot here with our audience. When are you talking about, you liberal Jew? I don't know. Call me what you want. I think what I think. You think what you think. It's all okay, man. As long as we can make successful wagers, we can all live together in peace and harmony and harmonious bliss. It'll be great. But all right, so tonight you're non-committal on this, Lubie. You think that the series might go to a Game 7?
No, I think
if it does, I'm going to be a little nervous about it. I'm going to tell you, I'm finally going to be a little nervous about this.
I mean, going home meant nothing for this team. Yeah, they played strong in the last game, but they need to win tonight. You don't want to mess around. You had momentum. You looked really good. You came on strong. The Capitals
5 unanswered goals, Lubie.
Looked shook. Like they looked like, what the hell's going on? And the Panthers, for once, looked relaxed. Bobrovsky looked like the guy that he was with the Columbus Blue Jackets that they have never seen in a Panther uniform. You need to feed off of that. And you need to win tonight.
Somebody should come right out and knock Ovechkin's 2 remaining teeth out. Should they not? Just set the tone tonight, huh? Come out, hit him with a haymaker right away. Get a couple of goals on the board. I really need a game that doesn't involve as much tension and anxiety as of the 5 games in the series, only one was really, well, I guess that third game also was easily accomplished by the Panthers. But, you had that listless first game. And then, the second game that they were in pretty much full command of. And then all of that disappeared, and we went right back into the shredder, the emotional shredder that accompanies any kind of a wager. But it has been a lot of fun. Sure made for a more exciting series. And to tell you the truth, Lubie, I don't even care about the second series. Do you? We just need to get out of this first round. That's all there is to it. Just so we could be right. After that, all bets are off.
Oh, yeah, I'm not making any more bets on them to go farther than this. If the Capitals is this much of a test, what the hell is the next round going to be? But I think this team, like we've talked about, their expectations should be Stanley Cup. I mean, you win the President's Trophy, that's your expectations. But what we've seen in these playoffs is hockey outside of Colorado, which is they're not human. Every other city, there's a ton of parity. You want to talk about parity in a league? The fact that there's going to be like 12 game sevens.
Isn't that amazing? First round of playoffs.
What is that?
Yeah, you already have like 3 game sevens on tap.
That's crazy.
It definitely is the hardest trophy in all the sports to win. I think you're seeing that because you're paying more attention this year than you have in the past.
No, I watched it before. I mean, like I don't watch hockey regularly, but the fact that your shift is like a minute and a half.
Yeah. And they're exhausted after that, right? Like the guy's breathing hard, like he just ran a marathon. Unbelievable.
Like it's nuts.
All right, well, it's been a lot of fun, and both the NBA and the NHL playoffs have been delivering. I think Boston-Milwaukee is going to be extremely entertaining tonight. And now, what's the status of Chris Middleton? Is he ever coming back? Do we know anything about this guy?
It's funny. They talked about it last night, but we were at Landlubbers doing the trivia, so I could only. They had
Chronics again. Did the Chronics win it?
The Chronics and the Chronics were second to last. They actually
bombed. Wow.
Yeah, they weren't good last night. We had a couple other teams win. But Woj was up talking about like people that are injured, but they don't. They're not worried about closed captioning, so I don't know what the hell he said. Like, they're like Middleton been out since, and it's like, yeah, when is he coming back? Like, what is going on? Like, you haven't heard.
What is wrong with him? I mean, does he have anything that we can identify?
Or yeah, no, he has an injury. Like, he's strained something. That's why he didn't do any major injury. That's why they haven't said he's out. That's why it's not like John Moran where they're like, he's done. Like, they haven't said that about him.
How did that happen off of that stupid little knee grab play? There's no way that John Moran was injured on that play because before that happened, he went like knee to knee, I think, with somebody else in a collision.
What they said is what hurt him. They're like, unless he's the Hulk, what's his name's hand didn't do that to him.
Yeah.
It was.
No, but I mean that hurts like hell. I mean, it's very possible to sustain a lingering injury or
the knee to knee,
fairly serious injury if you go knee to knee, right? You've done that where you run knee to knee with somebody and you're like, wow, oh man. But you can't sustain like some kind of internal serious bruising off what we saw in that play that everybody's blaming for what occurred with John Moran. That's unfortunate.
No,
my focus tonight, though, Lubie, is strictly going to be on this Panther game.
No,
I think I'm going to clear my social calendar so I can watch it. Entire hockey games we're watching now. That's what this sickness called gambling can do to you. You're forcing yourself into a room. I mean, normally that would be tantamount to torture for a lot of people, would it not? Even if they're here in town and they're wearing a Panther jersey to go wire to wire, bell to bell, puck drop to final whistle there. Watching a hockey game, what would be you'd be willing to admit to anything, right? Yeah, I kidnapped that John Benet Ramsey or whatever her name was.
John Benet, good for you.
Yeah. It was me. I did it. You'd be willing to admit to anything, but we'll be watching with great interest tonight. All right, the professor coming up. Also, Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet. Mayo's been that place. Oh, did you eat there?
Guys, it was great. That place.
Oh my God! It looks great.
That guy was amazing. That guy's story. I forgot where we were, and I was just listening to him. Like, wow, what a story! That guy Queez, a champ.
Washing dishes at 14. Could have been a lawyer. Could have been a doctor. He decided to go into the restaurant business. But
that's crazy.
You know what's great about that? I mean, his attention to detail.
Yep.
For running a restaurant. I mean, he could go out there and buy some tuna fish that the guy caught there off the Dania Pier. But I mean, and that whole thing with the PhD of or whatever the pH
balance, the pH
balance, yeah, PhD. Well, he sounded like a doctor, didn't he? He sounded like he had a PhD in water, constitution. No.
Well, the fact that he's worried about the rice, like he's not wrong. If you get sashimi, it's one thing, but if you get sushi, there's more rice than there is fish. But they seem to just slap on any rice. The fact that he talked for 10 minutes about the rice and how the rice.
Yeah, I don't think you see a box of Uncle Ben's in there, do you?
No. What do you mean? He didn't give us sushi because he only puts a certain rice with the. He gave us sushimi.
Yeah.
We tried sushimi and tried some other dishes, and there was some rice there. But the rice for the sushi, he uses a special rice that he said, yeah, that's not ready. That comes out later. Jesus, okay.
I want to try that lobster tempura, man. They had that looks great.
I mean, he brought out a bunch of stuff, and he
is that stupid to order something like tempura in a place like that? Because
he has a whole section of them. Like I wouldn't, even if you got a steak. Like
I'm a big fan of like shrimp and stuff like that, tempura style.
I
always like it.
Shirley and I don't run to get tempura, but that was what was cool about his menu. He takes it. They have like a lamb chop on the appetizer, which I would never think to get a lamb chop at a sushi place. But like he put so much, you said it, attention to detail in the entire menu.
Yeah,
that
it looked great.
You're not looking like a jerk. Even if you got chicken teriyaki, like everything he does there, he's very creative and changing over the menu a lot. Like you're not a schmank for getting anything there. Like I would,
and it wasn't unreasonably priced. I mean, for this high end stuff and the level of sophistication he was applying to even the most basic thing. I mean, it did sound like the only place you could get something sliced finer than this guy's sushi arrangements. What was when Paul Sorvino was cutting up that piece of garlic in Goodfellas in the jail, where he like shaving it with a razor blade, going, "Yeah, that's perfect." Well, you got a lot of time on your hands. I guess you could get it right. All right, Hialeah Park, great place to go. We loved it last Saturday. Thank you again, Frank Fiore and the people at Hialeah Park for staging just a wonderful boxing event. A lot of future stars were on the card there. You got to see a few more of them than I did, although I loved that one kid who he looked to me like, having seen a zillion boxers at various stages of their career, you can usually spot right away whether a guy has a shot to make it, and that kid looked really, really good. So well promoted, well done, and the beat goes on at Hialeah Park. There's always good stuff. You could consider what an idea for Father's Day, huh? Right? I mean, can you imagine? And the Jess Man knows that I would be very amenable to this if he suggested, why don't we go down to Hialeah Park and punch on the ponies all day?
I'm sure you.
I probably spent, many a Father's Day at the track, but
exactly without your
Hialeah Park gives you the chance to have a great meal. They'll have the buffet going and all of that stuff that they do. Just a fantastic place. I mean, a great entertainment destination. That's what they set out to be, and that's what they are. Hialeah Park. I love the casino. I love all of the atmosphere that they have there, and the great vibe. Yeah, the whole Latin thing gives you like a real buzz. I mean, if you're gonna gamble, go to South America to gamble. That would be the place to go. I don't know about those horse tracks where they run 20 horses and half of them look like they only have 3 legs. You ever been on the South American races?
No, of course not. What are you talking about?
Jersey Kyle and I hit one day where we didn't even hit the try, right? We had only 2 of the 3 horses. Okay. But it was so exorbitant that nobody hit it. And so they paid off for 2 out of 3 on like every ticket that you had, which we had like 12 of them, and the payoff was like big. So we missed a try and picked up like, I don't know, several times, I believe, on that particular proposition because it's South America, right? They don't even have lights on the track. They just race at night in the dark. It's fantastic. I'm watching the simulcast. How sick is that? And betting on it.
Watching it.
Betting on it. Worse than watching it. There's no form, no program, nothing. 18 horses, many of whom have already raced on the card. They're coming back out for a second try. Paint is flying off as they're going through the stretch. The jockeys weigh 220 pounds.
Exactly. It's like a linebacker. It's like Thomas is out there for some reason.
But of course, I'm making my usual back wheel.
And you're actually getting it.
5 or 6 horses that I've picked out there on the odds board. I mean, Hialeah Park, you know what? Anyway, any style that you gamble, it's amenable to all of that. You're going to love it. It's one of our favorite places in the world, and certainly just a great, great destination. Our favorite place in town when you're thinking of going to an event or having a big day. Hialeah Park, just a beautiful place, and check out all of the activities that they have coming up and the special on the Father's Day thing, and you can get that information at hialeahpark.com. All right, the professor coming up with the big board, and also Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, with more on the Panthers and the Capital Series. And I don't know, he should be following the other stuff that's going on in the NHL, no? This guy, because it's very favorable trends. If you're going to be a trend better,
there you go.
Very favorable. All right, back with the professor right here on the Defo Show at Degenerate Friday on Ion Channel in a moment. He's Mike Lubitz. I'm Jeff Deforrest. Back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time
trying to figure out, was I screaming excessively during
I don't know, your voice the last 2 days has been
it's been a little shot, yeah. A little
like,
shot,
I sound strong, and you're like, I'm like, what is he doing? Doing lines?
Sound like shit, yeah. I don't get it. I wasn't yelling at the Mustang or anything.
I don't know what the fuck you're doing. You're
haven't
freaking
cursed anybody out in the parking lot for fear of getting shot. Back with the professor on the show in a moment. Now that.
The time.
7:46. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
How many gamblers did I bail out last weekend with my game of the year? A $100 bettor made $10,000. A $500 bettor made $50,000. Well, I got 6 games on Sunday that I'm releasing absolutely free. These games are a burial, a blowout, a human lock. You can bet your unborn children on these 6 games. Absolutely.
Oh, I believe.
We now return to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show, a Degenerate Friday here on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz, and now the big hit on the program every week. We all look forward to it, and I would imagine you guys do too. And this was great. I think it led to an incident at Hialeah Park that I am particularly proud of on the show. And Lubie, you told me about it. First, we had the Lubie recognition factor kick in at Joe's Stone Crabs, where Lubie uncharacteristically is about to go, Jimmy from Goodfellas, and slip a 20 to the maitre d', which he would have probably spit at, but because it's probably at least a stick now to avoid waiting 2 hours. And as he's giving him the money, the guy goes, no need there. We got a table for you, Mr. Lubitz. You're Mike Lubitz, aren't you? And you got the recognition factor there at the highest of levels. And then the professor is at Hialeah Park, and this is a gentleman who must be watching the show with the video to recognize the professor, but a new professor recognition factor has kicked in. Professor, how are you?
I'm okay, although it probably says something about me that Lubie gets recognized at Joe's Stone Crab, and I get recognized at a bar in Hialeah.
Yeah, but it was spectacular.
In a simulcast room.
That's Defo's dream.
By a Latin crowd, no less. And
I had nobody spoke English except me and this one guy. It took me like 25 minutes to order a gin and tonic.
Ken was trying to get a drink, and the lady brought out 6 different things.
They were a little confused there that day because they were super busy. But no, it was great. And for the guy to recognize you as the professor, no less. I mean,
yeah, I know.
He might have recognized you from being an owner of a fine restaurant here in Pompano Beach or any other thing that you've been involved in. But, from this show as the professor.
I know, it's kind of shameful.
Quite a distinction.
All the things I've done in my life. Of all the things that doubled my life, this is my new #1 line in my obituary.
You were recognized by a patron at Hialeah Park as the professor. Great. All right, now, are you inclined
I, by the way,
at all?
just noticed something for the first time, Defo.
Okay.
That spiel you play at the top every time I come on from that terrible Matthew McConaughey movie.
Yes. I thought it was a great movie. It
starts, how many people did I bail out this weekend with my game of the year?
Yeah.
Notice he doesn't say parlay of the year or games of the year. He says my game of the year, and then he says a $100 bettor made $10,000. So you're telling me you picked 100 to 1 on the money line? What the hell game has ever paid 100 to 1 on the? Who the hell did you pick? Did you pick a Division II team against Alabama in the first week of the year in football? That's totally unrealistic dialogue there. Whoever wrote that movie, I'm not sure I've ever seen 100 to 1 on the money line.
Yeah, that's pretty rare.
We need to consult next time you're on with Brandon Lang, you need to bring up that line and ask him what the hell this guy is talking about. Because there's no such thing as the guy who beat Buster Douglas was only 48 to 1. So you're telling me the game you picked was twice the upset of Buster Douglas over Mike Tyson.
That's a small, a stickler point there in an otherwise brilliant movie.
It's not a small stickler point. The guy's claiming his game of the year was 100 to 1 on the money line. What game? What game do you have to go to?
Who wouldn't buy his service if he could come up with something like that?
You can do that.
Because that's the thing. You know the guy is just
he only has to hit once. It was like when we gave out Martin Keimer.
What, Trinidad and Tobago beat the Russian hockey team in 1980
by several goals. Yes,
I'm just saying.
Brilliant movie. And that guy that did that part was fantastic. Because if you wanted to parody these kind of guys,
big liar using totally unrealistic dialogue.
Yeah.
Again, when has there ever been 100 to 1 game on the money line? That's total crap.
You were probably the only guy, though, that was in the theater that took exception to that. That couldn't happen.
For sure. That's why the professor. That's what makes
Again, you really think I paid money?
Have you been thrown out of any movie theaters ever, Professor, in protest over the way things were being positioned?
Yes, I was, I think 7 or 8 years old, and I got tossed out of the Muppet movie.
I don't know if you want to go into any detail on that. Was this one of those? Who was the guy that? He was in the movie theater and they threw him out of there. It wasn't Tiny Tim. Yeah,
I was doing AIDS jokes about Jim Henson, and they took
nice
offense to that.
Yeah,
at 8.
The 2 little 8-year-olds that were sitting next to you were not happy with that.
No.
Nor were his parents.
Like they said, it's the flu, and he died 3 months later. Come on.
10 at 8. Oh, God.
Yeah, it's crazy. I got thrown out of $1 Million Baby. Because I was screaming at Hillary Swank, die already!
It took like an hour for it.
I don't know why they kicked you out. I think literally everybody who saw that movie felt that way.
Yes, that was the most awkward thing.
That was the worst lingering death I've ever seen. I mean, as much as we were facing lingering death in Game 4 of the Panthers series, that was, extending it. It was beyond Terry Schiavo. It really was. You were waiting for Jeb Bush to be credited with being a producer. Keep her alive. All right. Are you still nailing the USFL? What's happening with that?
I think we went 2-1 on the show last week, and the one we lost was we were getting 3 and 16-10, and we were about to push, and then Birmingham kicked a field goal with like 3 seconds left for unknown, perhaps in the USFL, the coaches know to play for the cover. Maybe that's like
I would imagine it's
in the USFL.
Yeah. By the way, I did want to pay tribute. It just crossed my mind reading this morning. One of my all-time favorite references, the great Gino Cappeletti checked out at the age of 89. Famous. From your favorite part of the country in terms of sports teams, from the Boston Patriots. The great Gino Cappeletti. Was he like a running back and a kicker? I mean, I think he did everything.
That's way before.
I think I had a football card of his when I was like a little kid.
It was one of those ones, when a guy's like this, and but he was one of those sort of character guys with a great name that, was part of the foundation of the NFL. Always, and did he not become like the color analyst for Patriot games for years and years? Gino Cappeletti was kind of like the Jerry Coleman of the New England Patriots, where he was around, and you said, "What is this?"
Are you trying to bait me into saying something horrible about
a guy who
just died? Yeah,
obviously.
How long do I have to trail this Gino Cappeletti
That was
out?
back when the Patriots were totally innocuous. You didn't have to hate them before the snowplow, before all the cheating took over, before Victor Kayem and the incident in the locker room. Like, by the way, just wanted to point out the New England Patriots, also the official team of sexism. Let's remember what they did to that poor female reporter in the locker room.
Took a little mention of it.
But yeah, I don't hate on the Patriots in that area. Like, what's the point of hating Tony Eason and Steve Grogan? It's like hating modern New York Jets. There's just like no point in it.
No, really. That's lost its luster and
right.
Any impetus to even give somebody the business about being a Jet fan at this point.
It's like hating the
issue,
the Celtics in the post Larry Bird era. Like, oh no, I'm really super mad at Reggie Lewis, who I don't think ever won a playoff game and then died early. Like,
there's another guy they made out to be an overt asshole in winning time, Larry Bird.
Oh, really? Well, I mean, I think
he might have been. I don't know.
In terms of his on-the-court behavior, I think it's pretty universal that Larry Bird was, in fact, a huge asshole. Like, and he was a master of the psychological game in basketball. And there's actually been like several players, including Michael Jordan, who have come out and said, like, I learned about trash talking from Larry Bird and the way it affected me. So I took it to the court because I realized this was a thing. And I mean, off the court, he's been pretty much, except for the fact that, he played for Boston and he abandoned his daughter for 20 years. He's otherwise recognized as a pretty good dude. Probably not going to clean up on Father's Day. Probably won't see him in Hialeah. But other than that, yeah. But I kind of like winning time.
I like how you subtly bury the guy with each.
Exactly. I kind of like winning
each
time.
addendum to the thought line there.
This is what I like about winning time is it kind of buries these people who have been revered throughout the years. And it's pretty
Jerry
great
West,
in that aspect.
Once Jerry West put the lawsuit out, I don't know if I guess they had finished the production before this all happened because obviously they'd done this a while back. But I mean, after
can you imagine how bad that trial's going to get for Jerry West? Because they're going to like bring up everybody who he was a scumbag to ever. Like every player he traded. Like is Norm Nixon still alive or did he coke himself to death by now? Because
I'm not sure on that one.
He was really unhappy about that Lakers trade. And like he's going to come into the courtroom and just bury Jerry West. Like all of these guys who Jerry West made controversial cuts to and whatnot over the years. The Gasol brothers are going to come in. Yes, he traded me for a pack of sugar.
Norm Nixon's still alive, by the way.
Norm Nixon. Richard is the one who checked out.
There was a very high chance of Norm Nixon back in the days of game time decision dead from overdose. So
Lakers,
honestly,
Celtics, you don't discriminate.
I got to be honest. In the fentanyl era, I would have probably gone dead on Norm Nixon. I probably would have made Norm Nixon like minus 220 to be dead.
Nah, come on, man. We had Joe Pepitone dead. He's very much alive.
He's in his 80s.
Other day, yeah.
Again, but I'm saying if Norm Nixon has been alive the last 10 years when everybody's cutting their coke up with fentanyl and just randomly killing people like drug dealers or John Wayne Gacy now, I'm a little surprised Norm Nixon has made it this
made it through. There you go.
It's definitely Ted Kaczynski time. If you're taking any of these opioids, you're taking your life in your hands. All right. So, do you have USFL steam before we get to the big board?
Yes, I do have a little USFL steam this week.
All right.
And that starts tonight with, as discussed last week, and we beat him again last week. The Shea Patterson sucks factor.
It cashed again for you, huh?
Yes, it did. The guy couldn't win at Michigan under Jim Harbaugh, couldn't win at Ole Miss under Lane Kiffin, and now can't win in the USFL under, I don't remember who his coach is, but he's still a loser. So we're taking Tampa Bay -2 and assuming Shea Patterson's going to screw it up at some point. Last week, they were laying 1. We took the 1, and they lost by 1. So, perfectly figure. I mean, they are getting 2. I assume they're going to lose by 3 because that's just sort of Shea Patterson's existence.
Todd Haley is their coach. A guy that's
there you go.
Yeah. Where's Jeff Fisher? Where's he coaching? Jeff Fisher. Isn't he in the league?
Yeah, Fisher? He is. I believe he is with it might be Birmingham. I can't know.
Sure, yeah. How's he doing as a coach in the USFL?
He's not good.
Not good. Yeah, that's what I would figure.
Again,
That might be another one to bet against.
I can't even remember which team he coaches, but they're not good because.
Panthers, the Michigan.
He coaches Michigan. Yeah, he coaches Shea Patterson, which again,
there you go.
Jeff Fisher and
Double whammy.
Shea Patterson parlay. That's a straight loser every time.
I mean, imagine the tendencies there.
Honestly, they're going to go back to the beginning of the game. The Michigan Panthers to win a game might be 100-1 on the money line. Those
justifying the lingo and the use of the language in the movie. 2 for the money. Come on.
There you go. And then
don't be so harsh.
Again, that movie is terrible.
Great movie.
We're going to have to devote.
Movie, that's why
we're going to devote an entire segment to how bad that movie is.
We'll have Brandon Lang sit in on the thing.
See, that's why I feel bad because I actually like Brandon Lang. He's a very entertaining guy.
Yeah.
But his whole bio in that movie is complete nonsense.
I mean, he didn't argue with it. He said there was, seemed to imply there's an element of truth.
With it. He's at the strip clubs telling women he's Matthew McConaughey's acting instructor or whatever.
Yeah.
Trying to tell strippers that he could introduce them to Matthew McConaughey. Of course, he probably carries video clips on his phone of that movie.
I would.
He was looking for Clooney to play him in the movie. Actually.
Really?
Yeah. No, I don't know. McConaughey, is deemed to be one of the coolest dudes on the planet. Obviously, very attractive to women as well. And that didn't seem like too much of a stretch for the way Lang carries himself. Having seen him in action many times and had to find him, when he was scheduled to make various appearances with us.
That I'm very much like Matthew McConaughey. I'm not really sure I find that to be a couple of all the actors out there. I don't even know which actor I would want to be compared to, but it's not Matthew McConaughey. I think I'd have to go Pacino. Not Pacino, De Niro.
De Niro, yeah. Well, De Niro
doesn't want to be De Niro in those movies. Yeah.
All right, let's. So
all right,
that's
it
on
on
the
USFL.
USFL.
USFL games.
You got more. Okay.
On Sunday, Philly +6 again. Birmingham. They did cover last week, that backdoor cover we're talking about, but I think that takes them like 1-3 or 1-4 against the spread. So we go against Birmingham. They win. They don't cover, and they're laying 6 this week. And then we get the chance that we've been waiting for a couple of weeks because their lines the last couple of weeks have been like -10, and that's to once again bet against the Pittsburgh Maulers, who are the I don't even want to say the Bad News Bears because the Bad News Bears kind of turn it around. They're the Washington Generals of the USFL. Wow. And they're only getting 5.5. They're getting less than a touchdown. So we're taking the Houston Gamblers -5.5 against the Pittsburgh Maulers. I don't know if you've seen the Pittsburgh Maulers, but they've got.
I haven't seen any USFL action. When is it on? Do we even know?
When do they play these games?
They play Saturday, Sunday?
It's on like 3 different networks. It's on NBC, it's on Fox, it's on FS1.
Haven't caught 1 second of it. And not by design, I guess, if I've landed on it. I just haven't seen it.
It's on TV more than Colin Cowherd, who every time I turn on FS1, somehow his show is playing. But
he's got those hot takes. If
you've seen the Pittsburgh Maulers play, they have uniforms like the color of Rainbow Sherbet. It's like purple and this weird red-orange color. And they play like a team. They play like the Tampa Bay Bucks, who dressed like Sherbet back in the day. So it's kind of appropriate there. And we'll go against them. We'll take the Houston Gamblers -5.5.
What was the team? It was from Germany, right? Was it the Rhine Fire that had the lime green?
Yes, and they were always good because they were the only team in the league that took football seriously. Do you remember who their original quarterback was?
They had like a legit quarterback.
Scott Mitchell.
No.
Scott Mitchell.
It was Florida Gator scumbag Kerwin Bell, who, if you remember Kerwin Bell, he started his senior year as a Heisman Trophy favorite and then came down here and lost to Miami. I believe it was like 31-4. They got 2 random safeties in Emmitt Smith's first game, and the only game in his entire Florida career where Emmitt Smith did not rush for 100 yards because the University of Miami ended Kerwin Bell and got Emmitt Smith off to a bad start right off the top. One of my favorite games of all time back in the Orange Bowl.
All right, quickly, because Tony Segreto was with us on Wednesday, but he was famous for this, and I'm looking at these NFL schedules that came out. I'm looking at the first 4 games for the Dolphins. Yeah, you want to go win or loss? Win or loss?
No, I don't. I hate that kid.
He doesn't do it.
No, you have to do this. Come on. This is the way to go.
Can I make a note to Tony
Open and home against the Patriots. Win or loss?
Only if I can make a note to Tony Segreto at the top of the show, because I know he's a big fan.
Yes. No, he is.
Dabo Swinney's brother was arrested for child pornography last week.
It actually was. That really happened. We never talked about it.
All right, who are you going with? Dolphins at home against the Patriots.
Dolphins, of course.
Okay, so they're 1-0. On the road against the Ravens the following week.
I think the Ravens have a big bounce back season, so I'm going with the L there.
Okay. At home against the Bills. They're 1-1.
I want to pick the Dolphins, but the Bills have totally owned them the last few years,
Yeah.
so I got to go Bills there, 1-2.
All right, 1-2, and then on the road against the Bengals.
Oh, Jesus.
Got to go 1-3. Can't bet against Joe Money and the Bungles.
Michael, out of here. 1-3. There you go. There's the story.
That's great.
This guy can't coach. No, very possible. All right. We don't even need to play
honestly, that's a pretty tough opening slate. Road games.
Yeah.
Road games against Baltimore and Cincinnati. Although, Cincinnati early in the year might be a little vulnerable there.
Yeah, I think we don't know what they're going to be.
No, they're going to be monsters. What are you talking
about? And then
about?
home against the Bills. The Bills have just...
Bills are interesting. They can't play.
they have just dominated us the last couple of years.
We'll know exactly where this team is at after 4 weeks. How about that?
I wouldn't go that far.
That's my.
I have a little hope for the Dolphins now that we
analysis.
got rid of Brian Flores. It's a little mitigated by the fact that Wes Welker's still around, cheating for the Patriots because he's, human garbage like all Patriots are. But yeah, 1-3 sounds about right, and hopefully wake up and fire Wes Welker after week 4.
He would be responsible for the tough start. All right, let's turn our attention to the big
Better
board.
yet,
yeah.
Hopefully put Wes Welker in prison for corporate espionage after Wes.
There you go.
Wes Welker owned horses, man. I saw him at the track. He was a great guy. What are you talking about? Anybody that got into the horse racing business, criminal past, and not
Joseph Stalin loved horses.
Yeah.
Like, he owns horses. What a great guy.
I'm talking racehorses here. I didn't see Stalin around Whirlaway during any of those victories. Let's turn our attention to the big board here.
Baffert's a big horse racing guy. Like, they're all great people.
He's the ambassador for the sport. What are you talking about? Hey, people love A-Rod, right?
People don't love him. People detest A-Rod. Like,
why is he on 10 networks then?
For the same reason that, like, Katie Nolan has gotten another TV job, this time covering Major League Baseball. I assume there is a network executive at TNT who wants to bang A-Rod, so keeps giving him jobs.
That's my case. All right, let's turn on the big board here, Professor. What do we have this week?
Well, we had a big thing this week, Defo, down here in South Florida, and I had to drive through traffic for it, so I already wasn't happy about this particular event. And then Saturday, trying to go down to Hialeah, which again, as you did, thank you, Frankie. It was amazing seats for the boxing, and a legitimate upset when that kid from New Zealand knocked out the cruiserweight they call White Chocolate in the first round. There,
wow!
The guy's grandfather came down to the ring and wanted to hop into the ring to replace his grandson. The total freak out with security. It was kind of fun there. Very entertaining evening. And I agree with you, that kid with the Elvis Gold LeMay shorts, the flyweight or whatever. Look,
that kid was good. Yeah, with
like
the double left hook.
Phenomenal talent there.
Yes.
So, I had to drive through the traffic to this, and Google, for some reason, drove me right through the middle of it, even though it's supposed to avoid traffic. So, the Google Maps traffic thing, maybe not so great. What is it? Is it Waze that's attached to that? Whatever it is. Maybe not so great. So we have a special big board because I was aggravated. Celebrating the Miami Grand Prix, which is like most things we steal from European sports, like when you see these guys who are super into soccer or whatever. It's the big board of the official sport of douchebags.
All right, fire away, Professor. It's
which,
all
of
yours.
course, is Formula One racing. If you don't know, if you know a dude who smokes cigars and wears a fedora, dresses like a jerk off in silk, he's probably a big F1 fan. He's probably chugging down Red Bull while watching the F1 races at 6 o'clock in the morning from South Africa or wherever the hell they go, where they don't race here. I know they race all over the world. It's not just in South Africa, but it seems like a sport that would take place in South Africa. And so let's go, Defo.
All right, ready.
Number 5, because the F1 thought they were buying like a new Monaco, racing by the sea, lovely international city of Miami. No, You bought a parking lot painted blue. I don't know why people. Honestly, is the stadium even in Miami, or is it like unincorporated Dade County?
It's Broward. It's Broward.
The part that people think is of Miami is nowhere near where this race took place.
So it's the Palliser County line, so I guess it is Miami. It's Miami Gardens.
No matter how much teal-colored paint they splashed around this thing, no matter how nice they made it look with all the new sod that probably cost the city of Miami and taxpayers a couple of $1 billion just to throw that grass around. What you bought was a parking lot off the turnpike at Formula One racing. Your fans who came here and paid outrageous sums for tickets were nowhere near the beach part of Miami. The beach part of Miami is like an hour's drive from the stadium. If you took an Uber from your hotel at the beach to the stadium for the F1 race, it probably cost you like $300 to get there, and then probably even more back. All you did was messed up traffic in Western Dade County. Thank you, Stephen Ross. Thank you, Formula One, for bringing this stupid abomination to the city of Miami.
Yeah, that was a bit of a farce. I mean, the whole scenic aspect of it did seem to be as fraudulent as those chirping birds are at Amen Corner in the Masters. All right, that's number 5, Professor's Big Board of the Sport of Douchebags.
And, of course, I am not the one who I'm not the first person to cover this. Everybody covered this. But, really, guys, you were so desperate to create a seaside that you created a fake marina and brought boats and sat them on concrete and then painted sparkly blue everywhere to make people think there was actually water anywhere. There is water near the stadium, but it's brackish water, and it's a canal. It's not pretty blue ocean water that everybody posed on. That's concrete. That is literally a parking lot that they painted blue so it would look on TV like there was water somewhere near the race. And people have compared it. I don't know. I've never played this video game. Apparently, there's a scene in the game Vice City that looks exactly like this, where the guy's walking on water and then 3 cars crash into it. That's sort of like this, except there's no car crashes in F1, which is one of the things that makes Formula One the stupidest, most boring sport on earth. From what I understand, these cars are so expensive that if you crash one once, you never get to race again. Like, and again, at least NASCAR has the element of death in it and is a little bit exciting that way. This sport is so boring that we have to make freak water to give people scenic. And I don't know why people around the world love this sport so much other than Europeans just have horrible taste in sports. And I don't get it. I mean, rugby, soccer, Formula One racing. Why would we follow these people on anything?
That's crazy.
It's like following Germans in their tastes in pornography. It's just either completely boring or completely disgusting. There's no in between with European sports.
Oh, God.
Fake water at number 4 on the big board of the Sport of Douchebags. All right, where are we headed?
I'm not exaggerating here, Defo. Okay. I think I may have actually stolen this point for you, but I've used this point with everybody who criticizes Miami as a sports city. There was a time not too long ago, within the last 5 to 10 years, where in South Florida, you could go to an NFL game, you could go to an NBA game, you could go to sort of a Major League Baseball game. I mean, we have a AAA team that plays against other Major League Baseball teams, but you can see at least one real Major League Baseball team. You could go to a tennis tournament at the time that was basically the 5th major. That's how good the lineup for the Lipton used to be. And you could go to a golf tournament of mid-tier prestige in the Doral, all for about the same ticket prices people paid to take 2 people to a freaking New York Jets game. True. Thanks to all these crypto douchebags who have moved down here, that is not the case anymore. Ticket prices in Miami have gotten so freaking insane. I am not exaggerating. The cheapest ticket, a ticket where you could not even see the race, all you could see was the stupid Red Bull tent, cost $600 for this event.
What the hell?
And it looks like many people got suckered in on this.
Yeah, it was like packed.
I remember going to Bayfront Park back when they used to have the IndyCar race there. I think tickets in the pit lane were like $40. $600 for general admission for this thing.
You could drive with the Andretti's for $600 back in the day.
All right. Tickets along the finish line, $13,000.
Oh my God.
There was a time if you spent $13,000 for Marlins tickets, you got to pitch. But I don't know if you've noticed. You probably noticed with these concerts at the Hard Rock, although I don't know if you pay, but like Hall & Oates tickets were $200.
No,
Rolling Stones tickets were like $2,000. They have a couple of all these people who moved down here with all this money need to leave. Okay? Because they're only going to these stupid events to get drunk in the sun and party their faces off. You live in South Florida now. You can do that anywhere. We do that anywhere.
Yeah.
Going out in the sun and drinking ourselves until we get heat exhaustion, we didn't need an event for that. That was just Tuesday. Now, because you people have to have an event where you promote your crypto or whatever, or your Red Bull or whatever bullshit you're on this week, our tickets have gotten to the point where we have $600 Formula One tickets that are general admission. You don't even get a seat for $600.
Oh, jeez.
If I buy a ticket to the sporting event, the cheerleader better have sex with me. $600.
$600, yeah, no doubt.
Kidding me? $600 for a general admission ticket. Exactly. You sit in a place you can't even see the fake water. All you can see is the freaking Red Bull tent. I don't know what's happened to tickets in this town, but we got a real problem these days.
That's insane.
No doubt about it.
And it's worse because, when the tickets are $600, you're not getting a real sports fan. You're getting to sit next to a douchebag. It's the only people who pay $600 to go to a goddamn race and drink Red Bull. And look at all these people. How long is a freaking line to get a Red Bull? Not that I would drink that crap, but if I did, I wouldn't wait 3 hours in the blazing hot sun for it. It's the worst event ever in the history of South Florida.
And we've had bad.
All right, $600 a pop. That's number 3 on the Professor's Big Board of the Sport of Douchebags.
So there are special places at races and various things that, you've got Pit Row and this place. I got a proposal for the Miami Grand Prix moving forward based on the pictures that came out here. And I think this one is absolutely perfect. The area right by the garages where they brought all the team. I suggest we call it Douchebag Alley.
Douchebag Alley.
So from the right here, we've got Tom Brady. His crimes against humanity have been well documented, and he probably paid about $10,000 for those stupid sunglasses. It looks like you're wearing a pair of blue blockers, Tom. Looks like you buy your sunglasses off 2 a.m. infomercials.
That's great.
There in his white suit buttoned up is David Beckham, who has stolen more money out of the Miami community in the last year than any drug dealer managed to accomplish in the 40 years prior to that. I mean, I watched Billy Corbin's documentary. Willie Falcone and Sal Magluta actually gave back to the community. David Beckham's here stealing all that money back. Let's use that cocaine money on a soccer stadium because that's what we really need. Then, of course, you have Michael Jordan, who, because if there's a jerk-off event to be held, Michael Jordan's there. He's probably going to buy an F1 team. The good news, like all teams Michael Jordan buys, it'll probably be terrible. And on the left is an F1 driver. I believe his name is Hamilton. I don't actually know anything about F1, so I don't know what he is. But based on who he's hanging out with, I'm assuming he's one of the larger douchebags on the face of the planet.
He wins every week, pretty much. He
probably cheats.
Yeah.
I mean, look who he's hanging out with. And he's probably a thief like David Beckham.
And you'll find all these guys on Douchebag Alley.
Yes, exactly. If you could spend more than 12 seconds around those 3 people, I assume you're a douchebag. There's no way otherwise. You could hang out with Brady, Beckham, and Jordan. Oh, I can't imagine 3 people I would rather spend less time around. I would rather spend the time with the guys at the sports bar in Hialeah, and I can't even speak Spanish. I literally didn't understand a word they said.
You have a huge recognition factor there.
Yeah. I would have more fun hanging out with them than with those 3. Again, this David Beckham thing, like, I don't understand why Dade County has decided to give this jerk off all their money. He wasn't even that good a soccer player, by the way. He was like Man U's most recognizable player at a time when Man U was the best team on the planet. That's not true anymore, and he was not their best player. He wasn't that good. His England teams were known for choking every international event, but somehow we've made him the biggest celebrity we have adopted David Beckham for some reason. I don't know why we're pretending we're like this international city and we have like this savoir faire going down here. I love South Florida, but South Florida is a sewer, folks. That's the reason people like Defo. That's the reason people like Defo, Lubie, and I fit in so well down here. We don't want you, David Beckham. Go away. Stop stealing our money and go back to Los Angeles. I don't even think they want you in London anymore, you and your obnoxious wife. By the way, is she dead? Did he kill her? You never see her anymore.
She's around. No, she's very popular. They're having a revival of the Spice Girls. Yeah,
I really did. Where is she? Because like David Beckham,
she looks a little like Tammy Faye Baker now.
David Beckham is now the new Pitbull.
Yeah.
Like everywhere you see it, Dade County, David Beckham is randomly there. You do a McDonald's opening in Aventura, and for some reason, David Beckham shows up.
Yeah,
but
he's
you
giving
never
a soccer
see the
ball
wife.
to a kid. Yeah. No, the wife has disappeared. But the city commissioners and anybody that's involved in this decision making about public funding to fuel the pockets of the Moss brothers and David Beckham, they line up to kiss his ass. I mean, they really do.
And I don't get it. What do they get out of that?
I'm not sure what. We get a giant tax bill that'll be a burden to society.
I know
for the next
in Florida, we're not allowed to say gay anymore, so I can't assume that homosexual attraction is the reason that all these. That I can't assume that homosexual attraction.
It's fair to bring it up, though. It's fair to bring it up.
All these commissioners are lining up to give David Beckham, sacks full of money for all his stupid
bags
events.
Of cash, man. Like he didn't have enough to begin with.
It can't be that he's this fascinating conversationalist. Number one, he's got a voice like a cartoon character. And number two, it's much like my problem bringing it back to Tom Brady with giving Tom Brady $300 and whatever million to be a football announcer after he retires, when Tom Brady has never said anything remotely interesting in his entire life. I mean, honestly, it is at times tough for me to hate Tom Brady because Tom Brady is so freaking boring. And then David Beckham's not any better. I mean, the guy's got an IQ like at the Forrest Gump level, as far as I can tell, based on his public speaking. And his voice is annoying. So, like, what the hell are you getting out of this, handing all our money over to David Beckham?
It's a mystery. All right, that's only number two, Bag Alley. All right, so where are we going from there, Professor?
Number one, I've tried to like this man. I've tried to give him praise. I've tried to be hopeful about his tenor here in South Florida. But number one, it's time to talk about Stephen Ross.
Oh, time. No, it's time.
I'm not trying to step on Billy Corbin's shtick here because we actually had Billy Corbin on to talk about the stadium deals back in our Defo radio days. But really, like another $1 billion in tax breaks for Stephen Ross to bring F1 to the parking lot at Hard Rock Stadium. And the speculation here is that Stephen Ross made more money off of this one race at $600 a ticket with packed stands, not even stands, with packed standing room only at the Red. He made more money off this one race than he will make in the entire season as the owner of the Miami Dolphins.
That's crazy.
It is amazing.
This is the most insane thing ever. I guess don't hate the player, hate the game. But like in this era when we give billionaires all our money, Stephen Ross is even putting David Beckham to shame in the amount of money he is just absolutely stealing out of South Florida. Again, to make Miami this international destination getaway. Yeah, held the race in a freaking parking lot.
It's really true.
The place you own is not some grand destination. It's off the turnpike. There used to be a Sonny's Barbecue right across from it. Now there's a Walmart.
Yeah, there is.
That handles the excess parking.
Yeah.
Tootsie's is down the block.
Yes, this is not some. No, Tootsie's isn't even that close. Tootsie's is a pretty good drive. For next to Tootsie's, it'd be preferable. I'd much rather park at Tootsie's than a Walmart. Come on. Anyway, that's our big board of the week.
Oh, beautiful.
Our number one douchebag in all of this, Stephen Ross, who, by the way, had Juwan Howard as like his only notable celebrity guest. So you know he's just going to turn around and give the goddamn money to the Michigan Sports Department, which is bad at everything, Stephen Ross. You never win anything. Did you see what Georgia did to your team in the Orange Bowl? We probably gave Jim Harbaugh $20 million out of this.
And he says the old Tootsies was better. All right, the professor, ladies and gentlemen, the big board for this week, the big board of the sport of douchebags. Talking about the Formula One race, which was greeted with great fanfare here and deemed to be a tremendous success.
Did we really need another event to attract jerk-offs to our city to spend their money? It's South Florida. We don't need another place to go drink mojitos. We've got plenty of those. To wear our all-white suits and our Panama Jack hats and smoke our strawberry-flavored vaporizers while sipping a girl drink. We've got plenty of those. That entire part of South Beach, portions of South Beach, are dedicated to those people.
That is
the professor, brought to you, by the way, by the South Florida Chamber of Commerce.
South Florida is fun. South Florida is great, but it's great not because of events like that.
Exactly.
Tremendous job as always. All right, Professor, you have a good week. We'll talk to you again next week here on the Degenerate Friday and the Defo Show. Always a pleasure, my friend.
Ken's the best. That was great.
when he went back over the picture in the douchebag alley and started condemning everybody individually again, I knew he was having a good day.
Oh my God.
All right, the Gambling Gourmet is coming up. Mike Mayo, I'm Jeff Deforrest. He is Mike Lubitz, the Defo Show here on Ion Channel. And happy to have you guys with us. We do want to tell you that one of the great aspects of South Florida, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. I mean, there's really nothing like it. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, Key Largo. You head out of Florida City, which I would agree with the professor on that. It's kind of a dump, is it not?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. It's a farming town. It's not like...
It is what it is, as
right,
Dave Wonstadt would say. So, just a few miles south of there is Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. So, if you were thinking about stopping at some gas station and getting a sandwich, forget about that.
No way.
Blow by the Shell station or the Wawa and head right down to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Treat yourself to some really fine dining. Whether you're looking for something casual, like a giant plate of nachos, laced with all your favorite things. And as you said, Lubie, the worst thing about nachos is when you need a search warrant to find anything that you actually like on there. Maybe they throw like a glop of sour cream on the top there so it looks like something's happening, but there's really nothing there. There's no foundation to it. These are, Jimmy loved it. When he was in Texas, that was his big thing. Go to a Mexican restaurant, get the coaching staff together, chug down a couple of margaritas, and over a plate of nachos, they would figure out how to get the ball to Michael Irvin. It was fantastic. Jimmy's applied many of those same principles to his association with Larry Calvano's great place. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, great accommodations, seaside dining there on the bay side. The sun is setting. The music is blaring. It's absolutely fantastic. I was amazed. They had like 6 different bands come in there on Saturday.
Yeah, it's very active. It's a lot of fun.
Woodstock wasn't this good. It really wasn't. And it wasn't as relaxing, that's for sure, because I'm sitting there by the pool enjoying all of this music and then some fine food. And as we've mentioned, many things that we need to get the Gambling Gourmet to try because kind of exotic, even compared to what you had there at Kaizen yesterday on that little outing that you enjoyed. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, Key Largo, the Overseas Highway. We love it down there. You're going to love it too. Always great. And sporting events with all these playoffs going on in a remodeled sports bar. It's a fantastic place to do any kind of relaxation session that you're involved in. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, Overseas Highway, Key Largo. All right, Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, coming up next year on a Defo Show. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He is Mike Lubitz.
Yes, sir.
And we'll be back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:29.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet.
Vegas,
a lot of very expensive propositions.
Yeah, and but at the end of the day, you know you're going to be blowing through cash, and if you actually end up hitting and breaking even, it's the best feeling in the world. Right?
What do you consider even? I mean, how much in the negative do you consider breaking even? Like, if you lost less than 500, do you come back and report that you broke even?
Let's see. For Vegas,
I don't like to admit defeat and
no gambler does.
Buried my entire life. Yeah.
But no, I mean, if you can get your airfare on points and then have some sort of deal with your comps for a room that's a little cheap, if you get out for a full Vegas trip for under $1,000, that's breaking even.
I would go with that. Yeah, no, and especially if you can still afford In-N-Out Burger for the plane ride back. It's especially good to be at the airport.
I gotta say,
you reach with a lot of envy.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show, a Degenerate Friday here on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz, and we welcome into the program the Gambling Gourmet, Mr. Michael Mayo, who said that In-N-Out Burger in your food critic mode, you say it's slid backwards a little bit, in your opinion. I don't know. When was the last time you were out in Vegas or out west where you could get an In-N-Out Burger, Mike Mayo?
I've only done my In-N-Out Burger. And good morning, Lubie. Good morning, Defo. A pleasure to see everybody on this fine Friday, Degenerate Friday. I'm ready for some degeneracy. Gone the whole week since the Derby without making a bet, which I'm breaking out into hives. But
I'm heading straight out after the lunchbox show today. Straight to
I wish I could join you. I'm tied up with the Best of Delray app. We're launching next week, and me and Dixon, got a lot of work to do this afternoon. We had a nice dinner in Delray last night. Made me miss the runway 84. But getting back to the In-N-Out Burger, it slid, yeah, and I've only eaten them in California because, well, I just for some reason have never gone to the one in Las Vegas, but
there are a couple now. There's more than one.
Yeah, and their owners, they're privately owned. I think it's a family still. It's not one of these private equity firms, and they just for some reason refuse to go east of the Mississippi because remember when kind of Governor DeSantis wanted to get them to come here to Florida, and he was like saying, "Oh, they're coming." He was like trying to make it into some kind of a campaign thing, and like kind of the way that Rick Scott led to the Wawa-fication of Florida, where there's a Wawa on every corner. He wanted, I guess, bring In-N-Out, and In-N-Out was like, "No, thanks, sorry, we have no interest at this time." Like,
they would kill it though if they were here. It would be a
it would be a license to print money. And it has a huge cult following. Now, I used to go back in the days when I was a sports writer. So we're talking about 30 years ago. Every time I landed at LAX, my first stop was the In-N-Out Burger right there by the airport. I don't know if it was Inglewood or somewhere just right by the airport. But it was great back then because it just seemed like they would cook things to order. And if you wanted a medium rare burger, they would cook a medium rare burger. For some reason now, whenever I asked for so the last time I had it, I went on a California trip with my daughter. It was back in 2019, so it's already 3 years ago. But I asked for a medium rare, and it came out medium well. And I was like, "What's going on?" She goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't cook medium rare anymore. And if we ask for medium rare, it comes out medium well." I was like, "What's that?"
That's no good.
And to me, that indicates that they don't trust the quality of the meat anymore because certain restaurants and chains, they refuse because of,
fast food.
E. coli, bacteria, people's, weakened, systems. If they don't want to serve any meat that is less than cooked all the way through to medium well. And I think if you're serving really good meat, like the bags of the ground sirloin I get at my friend Tropical Acres Steakhouse Butcher Shop, I cook those things to medium rare, and they are delicious, juicy, and never have any ill effects because it's high quality ground fresh sirloin. So it's a long-winded answer, Defo.
It is very long-winded. I mean, I like the place or not. I mean, that's all we ask here.
It's not as good as
you're talking about the veins in the calves. I mean, unbelievable.
I was listening to Queen
you've lost your ability to use logic anymore, though, because you became so mashugana about this stupid bet that we made. It's insane. I mean, yesterday on the radio show, you were completely verklempt. I understand there were some technical difficulties.
No, yesterday was a crazy
would shake up anybody. But the trends are in your favor. I mean, let's go to degeneracy here. The trends are in your favor based on the NHL action from last night, when in 3 of the 4 series, the home team forced a Game 7. And we're looking at that tonight in your Capitals versus Panthers wager. Down 3-2. I mean, tell you the truth, this looks like the Canelo scorecards where, the Capitals have every reason to believe they could be winning this series. And the trends are in your favor. All of these home teams have gone back for Game 6 and forced a Game 7.
Look, whatever happened in the other team series has nothing to do with what happens on the ice tonight. Whatever happened for the last 26 years with the Panthers has nothing to do with tonight.
Oh, listen to you now. I mean, that's all you were basing your claim on. Was that the whole history of the franchise as a bunch of choking losers?
Well, no, I retract that because actually that does weigh on them. And the fact that every time he opens his mouth, the coach, whatever his name is, because nobody knows.
I think it's Brunette.
Yeah, Brunette.
I'm going to go with Brunette.
I just call him the interim guy. The interim guy keeps talking about how they're always nervous, and I can only imagine the nerves come from the feeling the weight and the pressure of history. So I do retract that. The past 26 years will be weighing on them tonight. And you know what? I've thought about it. If the 2 teams in South Florida in their playoff runs, if they have theme songs right now, the Miami Heat right now are Bachman Turner over. BTO, Bachman Turner Overdrive's taking care of business, right? They are just care of business every day, taking care of business every way. They just discarded the first 2 rounds, the opponents, the Hawks and the Sixers, just like you figured they would. They look really good, except for that one really bad game. And the Panthers, their theme song right now would be the Temptations' Ball of Confusion, because you just don't know what kind of team you're going to get on a given night. You don't know what kind of Bobrovsky you're going to get period to period. So do you trust this team? I mean, Defo, you've got a lot on the line tonight because not only are the big bragging rights for this wager that we've been
I don't want to lose to you. At this point, I'm so sick of you and your nonsense that I can't stand the thought.
No, but you could be completely right.
If we go to the track and your horse wins and mine loses, I'm okay with that. I'm happy you won. But in this case, I want to see you suffer. I really do. At dinner, I want to see you schwitzing into your food as you pay off. And Lubie keeps ordering more and more stuff so that the check mounts up to some enormous number that breaks you for the next several months.
Well, the thing is, you can be all the way right, because I think at the beginning of the series, you said Panthers. Well, no, after they lost Game 1, you said Panthers in 6. So
that's how it figured. I mean, it sort of did to me. Not that I know anything great, but I'm thinking, number 1 seed versus number 8. They were like 11 games better than the Capitals during the regular season. If you take the points equation and break it down to games behind, they should prevail in this spot. They have a lot of talented players, and
they're on the road.
A good internal chemistry.
They have a great road record. Look, there's no reason why they can't close it out tonight, except for feeling that pressure and the weight of history and the closeout game, yada, yada, yada. It's always the biggest pressure. And so I'm rooting for a Game 7. First of all, at the beginning of the series.
Of course you are. What are you talking about, Mayo?
Yeah, that's
a
obvious.
surprise to people. You've been talking all.
And you know what?
All season now, since we made this proposition that, the weight of history, and here you go. Like all of a sudden we have to go back to Abe Lincoln or something and, take a look at the United States. This is what's happening now. I don't think these players feel any of that pressure. I really don't. I think that's all made up media stuff. I really
well,
believe
we'll
that.
see. They're gonna, the closeout game.
They might lose, but it isn't because of that.
Okay, so the bottom line is, I want to see you schwitz. I want to get it to a game 7.
I was schwitzing the other night. That's for sure.
And if if somebody told me at the beginning of the series that there would be a game 6, that okay, I'm down 3-2, but I get a game in Washington to not up the series and then take it to game 7. And you know what they say about game
anything
7s?
can happen in a game 7.
Yes,
absolutely.
There you go.
There isn't a sportscaster, sports writer alive who hasn't said that at some point in time, or any sports figure who is being asked about the outcome.
Exactly. Anything can happen. And if it comes down to the third period or overtime in a game 7 tied up, what else they say? It's going to come down to
the weight of history is going to compel the situation.
It's going to come down to whoever wants it more.
Oh, right? There you go. Yeah.
Whoever wants it more. So,
but how do you? I mean, I understand you had this thing with Doug Sifu, who is the CEO of the Panthers. I guess he was kind of the face and voice of the organization because
he was really.
Does Vinny Viola even exist? Vinny Viola, the owner of the team.
Him.
We see him more at the track than we do.
Only when he has a Kentucky Derby prospect, because he loves going out to the track. And I think
very lucky in the sport of horse racing, by the way.
Yeah,
very lucky.
He has Pletcher trained for him, which so in the horse racing game, he knows what he's doing. And look, they promised us Stanley Cup parade, a boat parade on the New River in Fort Lauderdale way back when he assumed ownership of the team, and was still waiting for that. And meanwhile, before getting to any kind of championships, they keep coming around with their helmets in hands, even though the guy is a billionaire or whatever, saying, hey,
now we're getting to the bottom of it.
Now, hey, we need a couple of more shekels. We got to put up a new scoreboard. It's like, hey, buy your own damn scoreboard. No, we need to get it from the tourists. We need to get it from that bed tax. And by
the way, that scoreboard sucks. It's not as good as even the primitive one that they had before that. It's one of the worst scoreboards I've seen in any stadium and arena that I've been in, because you have no idea how to find anything. I mean, like the power play is written is up there in lights that are smaller than the bottom line on the DMV eye test.
Great. Give him more ideas that they're going to come around and ask for another new scoreboard. Because
so you took exception to this in one of your
when
you were writing for the paper, and
when I was the city side. Yeah, when I was the city side news columnist, I took a kind of a skeptical and jaundiced eye towards their claims of bleeding money and hemorrhaging, because these sports teams, they can play all these accounting shell games and make it look like they're losing millions of dollars when the team value is actually appreciated by hundreds of millions of dollars. How is that possible that something that is such a bad business can somehow appreciate so much? It's like like burning your house down and say, oh, my house went up in value 3 times. It's like it's makes no sense. So I pointed these things out, and I questioned some of their accounting, and I questioned their need to come to the county for basically getting some of these improvements and enhancements of an arena that the county built very graciously for Wayne Huizenga and the Panthers when he owned the team.
You had a more favorable picture that you portrayed of Whitey Bulger when he was captured. And, I mean, come on! I mean, you call these guys criminals, Mayo? What do you?
No, I didn't call them criminals, but I questioned it, and then basically he comes at me on Twitter with a little Twitter war, saying
what have you done in your lifetime?
What have you done in your life? You've never made a payroll. You have, like, basically the old, well, if you've never run a business, you're not entitled to an opinion kind of thing. Like, oh, yeah, okay, I've never played quarterback, but I rip Marino all the time too. And he hates me also, but that's another story. But
is there anywhere we can go with you in tow, Mike Mayo, that we won't run into somebody that has a bone to pick with you?
Well, if you go to Kaizen, we love.
Oh yeah, no, that was good.
We likes him, so that's one place.
Yeah. No, he said you made his place, which was great. All right, so you're optimistic tonight. I'm sort of with you.
Optimistic for what?
I don't know that you get the victory tonight.
Game 7.
It's a game 7, and everybody gets nervous about it.
I want this to go the distance. It would be so much fun. And where are we watching the game?
I think it very well could. It very well could go to distance.
I want to watch the game somewhere tonight. I'm hoping Shenanigans East is back open, but otherwise, maybe I'll come up somewhere in Pompano. Are you going to be watching it at home, Defo, or are you going to?
I might be curled up in a fetal position.
Yeah, no,
I don't mind losing the bet
Asking
tonight.
if my mother can come back from
I think the Capitals for an 8th seed acquitted themselves well. I mean, to just take
they played great so far. Yeah,
I got my money's worth. Even and we still have to figure out where we're going to be eating and paying off this bet.
I want to see one of Ovechkin's 2 remaining teeth flying out of the television screen tonight and into my lap so I can tuck it under my pillow and realize that I'm going to be getting fat on Mike Mayo's dime. And it's become personal now. I mean, between you and me and Lubie also, because
yes, 100%.
The idea of walking into a place knowing that we're paying and that you were right. I would rather lose like every dime that I have to my name, on some ridiculous bet on a USFL game than lose this bet to you. And I'd imagine you're feeling somewhat similar, Larry, at this point.
No, I really don't. It's very weird.
Don't act like you don't care, man. I know how you are. Don't. I made a bold.
I made a bold prediction. I'm willing to, put actual money or food on the line. But the reality is, I do want to see the Panthers kind of go for. And I think if they break the ice, break the dam, so to speak, and get through this first round,
it's good for this depressed town.
I think they will go very far. And if somebody told you that the Panthers are in position to clinch the series and after going 0 for a million on the power play, like everything now is breaking their way. And if you're the Capitals, you're saying, oh no, we blew a late lead, in game 4.
Twice.
That could have put us up, 3-1. And then we blew a 3-goal lead on the road in game 2 when we took the crowd and, entirely out of the game. So they're now the ones that are really questioning things and having very, very shaky legs, shaky confidence. And and again, the Panthers 0 for 16. Could you imagine what they'd be doing if they actually scored on the power play? That's the thing.
Yeah, just once.
That's the thing that gives you hope for the next series. Is like once they get through this, and this is going to be like their little sweat. I think they could really breeze all the way, and I'm going to go have a bet with you about the Panthers winning the cup.
I'm going to instruct you to lose my number. We can still do the radio show together and have this segment, but other than that, maybe go out to that restaurant. I want to give a plug to your guy yesterday because he was great on the radio show. This guy, Kaizen, and I'm looking at the rest of the menu now. I'm not necessarily a guy that goes out of my way to have sushi. I would try some just based on the scientific approach this man took to the whole thing, and he seemed to be a guy that would settle for nothing less than the best of the best when it came to.
I call him a fish freak, a sushi savant. The guy is like crazy about fish, and he got into the whole sushi culture after, like he was telling his backstory. He started off as a dishwasher in Massachusetts. He grew up. He was born in Cambodia.
Horatio Alger story.
And then he worked in a pizza parlor. He said he was spinning pizzas and was on some TV show that was a competition about pizza making. The guy is obviously very bright. He's very driven. And when he decided he wanted to learn about sushi, he ended up working at some of the most renowned high-end places in New York, LA. I think he spent a little time, and then he also went to Kuro, the high-end sushi place at the Hard Rock, and I think he spent a couple of months there working or just kind of learning things. So he's been around the block, and this place that he opened 3 years ago with his fiance Chow is at 5640 North Federal Highway, and I've been singing its praises since basically I first went in there a few months after he opened. And again, you don't even have to like fish and sushi. He'll give you a little piece. He's like the drug dealer or the free play people at the casinos. They're like, oh, you don't like rough it? Here, try this. Just take a bite of this, and they'll
your
go,
first $1,000
wow.
wager is free.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then people will say, oh, wow, this is good. And of course, that's the premium product from Japan that, and he doesn't gouge you because some of these places in Miami.
Prices were reasonable all the way around on the other stuff. So
some of these places in Miami, it's $10 for one piece of fish. You could have this nice little assortment platter for you get a full nice assortment of really good high-end fish for like $40 or $50. He does the full omakase for like $130, and most these places in Miami charge $250 or $300, and it's the same quality, same artistry. I love the guy, so he's ruined me for any other sushi place because I can't just go to my corner sushi or around the block from me anymore. I have to make that trip up to Kaizen and Lauderdale. And
how was Lubie? How was his behavior there?
He was very well behaved.
Yeah?
And we got over the jinx of Lubie because we, even though we had a little bit of a glitch, but the show sounded okay, so I was happy with it. And Quee was great because he gave us loaded us up with a lunch feast afterwards that was worthy of Lubie's, the stamp of approval. And he didn't get, it was good. Nikki Mohan didn't get any rice showered on her. Lubie kind of kept everything on his own plate. So that was very impressive. So thanks. Right. We're going to be doing that segment once a week, going around. And of course, we love all our sponsors and Shenanigans and Tropical Acres. Was in there, Tropical Acres this week. The Twin Lobster Special is back for the summer,
Nice.
$35. You can't beat that. Even Keel Fish, we love them. Pizza Spot, we love that. I mean, I don't just.
You're a happy man.
I'm a happy man.
I mean, we do have some alternatives to the runway.
I was thinking this
proposition bet. All right, we got to run here though for a second, Mike Mayo. Hang on, now we got to do some business. Many places, of course, to acknowledge here on the program. We'll come back more with the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo. But that sounded like a very sweet place. I know a lot of people are always looking for places where they can get this kind of sushi, high end, and the rest of the menu had a lot of assortment on it, and all at very reasonable prices. So Kaizen there in Fort Lauderdale, good spot if you're from out of town and you're visiting, little small place and doing great things. All right, coming back with more here with the Gambling Gourmet. We have to get them down to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill for that Italian fisherman pizza one of these days. Also, and that wouldn't be bad, if we were paying off the bet down there, because we could have the full range, the full spectrum of all the things on the menu there at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, and that is in Key Largo on the Overseas Highway. Coming back to finish things off on this edition of Degenerate Friday here on Ion Channel. He's Mike Lubie Lubitz, Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet. I'm Jeff Deforrest. Back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
8:51.
Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
All right, welcome back to the show. This gentleman become a big hit on the program because he's an expert in two things that we all love. Probably live without the sports. We can't live without the food. And nobody better to talk about either or both of those things with than the great Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet. Hope you're going to abstain from betting anything on a preseason.
I would rather bet on rhythmic gymnastics at the Olympics than a preseason NFL game. And that's my closing.
Banking on that French judge, yeah. Well, I can't believe she saw it that way. She gave him a 2.8. Everybody else had him in the 7s.
From South Florida to the entire world, thank you to the iHeartRadio app. Here is Defo, joined by Lubie, on the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie Lubitz. We have the Gambling Gourmet here as we wrap up this edition of a Degenerate Friday here on Ion Channel. And this is one of my favorite exercises. We tried it a little bit with a professor, and I know going back to your days as a sports writer, they actually treat this as if it was a national holiday, the release of the National Football League schedule. And this we're doing in honor of our compadre here on the program, the great Tony Segreto, who immediately, and I did see this last night, I think Putin had, said, hey, I'm going to start bombing Finland pretty soon here, and Sweden and any other country that ever mentioned us in any kind of disparaging light. That was happening, and they, had more new news about this escaped convict and the guard who blew her brains out after the police chase, who just like escaped from Dannemora. He got involved with the prisoner and bolted him out of jail here, this dangerous criminal. And they teased those two stories and then went to the sports guy who was analyzing the Dolphins' schedule, which was released as the lead story. I think Biden was going to resign also, was one of the other headline teasers. So I don't know. Did you ever get involved in this? Because it seems like the most ridiculous exercise in sports coverage that you could ever engage in, and that is to try and determine what kind of record the team will have based on the release of the schedule.
Right,
which,
doing the W's, W's and L's when you go down and just by
go down the list. Yeah, so I want to do a little of that here.
I used to do it, but it always would come out like 8-8 or 9-7, and now you have to do 9-8 or 8-9. So
with Segredo, it was 12-4 or 11-5.
Oh, of course, because he's an
station
optimist,
carried the games,
and he thinks he thinks I'm a miserable bastard. You got to explain to him I'm a fun guy. I just can be a little bit of a curmudgeon when it comes.
But Tony's in another world when it comes to this sort of thing too, because he thinks that I hate everything, and I watch sports like a lot of people because I absolutely love it. I mean, I'm watching these women's tennis tournaments that are on like right now. Maybe you can see the reflection there in the Klitschko poster, and I'm amazed. These women are knocking the living daylights out of the ball. I mean,
they're strong. And
the quality of play has escalated to a point where, I mean, even when you go back and watch like Martina and Chris, it looks like you and me playing, Mike Mayo, by comparison. I mean, I applaud the advancement that women have made in this game, and then the men, of course, are even more ridiculous with what they're doing. So, and on the red clay, when you get these 20, 30-shot rallies, it's just absolutely incredible. But I love it. I love every aspect of it. So I'll watch this stuff all day long. I'm not cynical about it at all.
Remember when they used to call highlight the world's fastest sport because the pelota went 160 miles an hour? What are these serves coming in at now? Like 140, 145?
Imagine it. I mean,
are they getting close to becoming the world's fastest sport?
I whiffed on a serve from Dr. Jerry Perlmutter the other day that was clocked at 28 miles an hour. Of course, it bounced twice in the box before it even got to the line.
That's the old knuckleball.
But I mean, imagine facing 140 mile an hour. I mean, never mind trying to turn around. You ever go to the batting cages, Mike Mayo, and you start out like in the 60 mile an hour one, and you take a few swings, and then you realize this is really kind of like lame. So you move up to 70, and now you're pounding that into the left field fence. Shot after shot. A couple of people are coming over, maybe watching you hit. Then you move to the 80, and you can still hit the ball, but it takes you a couple of swings to get used to it. And then you get to the 90, and it's like, well, what the hell is that? And imagine seeing fastballs at 100 miles an hour.
Forget
while people are wearing like gold chains out in the center field seats, and you're in a day game, and trying to hit a ball. It would be impossible. These guys are great.
No, I couldn't even begin to imagine to do that. I could barely swing a golf ball when it's sitting there stationary. Yeah. So how am I going to get? I have no shot at a fastball coming in at 98, 99.
It is amazing you could swing and miss at a golf ball, isn't it?
It is.
How is that possible?
THC. That's how it's possible. if you got a couple of doobies going during the round, that depth perception gets all messed up.
I
have it here. I have it right here. We need to get your opinion. So far, we have 1 and 3 from the professor. Open up at home against the Patriots.
I think they win that.
I got no idea. Is Tua going to be healthy? I guess.
Well, is Mac Jones even going to be
putting
on
a gun to my head
Who the hell knows?
All right. Let's say a home opener will get a victory. Let's do it.
You're struggling with that one.
Okay, so you have 1-0. All right, very good. Ravens on the road. Ravens.
I'm going to say a loss.
Loss. Okay, everybody has them losing that game. Facing the Bills at home. The Bills at home in week number 3.
Oh, in number 3, we're just doing the early part of this game.
Or only doing the first quarter. That's all. After that,
because I was looking for the only thing I heard, and I didn't even look at the whole schedule yet. But a friend who's a Packers fan said they're playing the Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers on Christmas Day.
That's way deep in the season.
I'm going to put that one down as a loss. But the other ones, let's just say Bills at
home. Bills at home. Can they beat the Bills? The Bills have owned them of late and are deemed to be the best team in the AFC.
I'm going to say September here. We'll give them another W. I'm going to be
All right, then on the road against the Bengals to round out the first almost quarter of the season now.
Oh, I think the team is going to go to Skyline Chili and all get food poisoning. So that's a loss. That's a big L.
All right, you're not as cynical as people say. You have them at a robust 2-2, coming out of a very difficult start to the season, and I think you can book it right now. Dolphins somewhere between 1-3 and 2-2. Either one of those two.
Good
things.
to me. Ooh,
Yeah.
Next week we talk Preakness. Rich Strike has 0.0 chance of winning. I will say that right now.
Who's in? Do you know? Any idea who's running?
I think early voting, Chad Brown had him on the sidelines, a very promising 3-year-old, and I think he finished second in the Wood Memorial or some other prep race. But early voting is the one I like.
Is Barber Road going to give it another shot? He was coming at the end there.
I don't know. I got to look at the probable. I don't know who's going to be in and out, but early voting, I'm going to stick with early voting. That's it.
Takes a little of the luster away from the race with no Triple Crown chance, does it not? And people would like to see if this Rich Strike could sort of consolidate the idea that he really is this caliber of horse.
People forget that, Mind That Bird, as big as Crowbait he was, he finished second.
Preakness,
he finished second in the Preakness again. It compromised
by like a nose, too.
His running style is compromised because it's usually a more speed favoring track at Pimlico, and that's why I'm going to be going against him. But he could definitely hit the board, and I don't know if he's going to get much respect. I would imagine he might go off at between 8-1 and 12-1. That's kind of crazy. Rich Strike.
Rich Strike. No, Rich Strike is out. Not going to run.
Oh, really? I missed that. What happened?
Yeah.
Oh,
the owners decided 2 weeks was too quick to come back. And,
they decided that the drug result, the positive drug test,
they
going to come hit the papers in about 2
Yeah.
days. Okay. He's going to go for Belmont? Good luck to him.
Yeah, he's skipping a Preakness because they thought it was too quick of a turn.
And I had my $2 on him. I got my 166 back. I still lost 140 on the race, but that's okay. It cut my losses.
We'll see what happens. All right, we'll have that for you next week, and we'll talk to you later on today there. Mike Mayo. It sounded spectacular yesterday from Kaizen Restaurant here in Fort Lauderdale, and we'll have an edition of the Lunchbox. That's the Odyssey radio app.
Yes, sir.
The Gambling Gourmet. It really dives into the food scene here in South Florida and many other things as well. And no doubt there'll be some more trash talking about this bet, which
absolutely
still looms as undecided. I mean, you have to feel very comfortable about that. This should have been over in 5. If things were playing out the way we thought.
Never know which Panther team we're going to get. It's very exciting. And as the Alanis Morissette song says, it's unwritten. We don't know yet. Still the end.
Sound like a rabbi here. I mean,
hopefully without hopefully without the herring breath. You got me.
Oh yeah, no, that was Rabbi Philip Book, man. I tell you what, his breath could blow the doors off of a safe.
It could turn a good Jewish boy Catholic.
I was never a big fan of overwhelmingly Jewish food. You know what I mean? The pickled herring and what was that? In onion sauce with
the matzo
cream.
ball soup is a little bit easier on the
that's okay, man. They have a good one at the Isle Casino.
Onions.
I might get one today at the Isle Casino if I accumulate enough points for a free soup after plunging all day. All right. Thanks, Michael. We'll talk to you later on. Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, ladies and gentlemen. He will be insufferable if he wins this bet. We'll never live it down.
I don't know what the hell he's talking about. I'm not rooting for a 7. I'm not hoping for a 7, and I don't see a Game 7 Panthers. Please.
I would rather roll a 7 personally. Just
no, guys, shut up.
Where they pronounce you dead on arrival at the hospital, than see this guy win this bet. That's how it's gotten.
Panthers tonight, please.
Now I'm going to go to the track today for my usual Friday session. If I lose 3-4 sticks, I'm not going to cry about it. I'm going to, thank my mother for the inheritance money and realize that that's the only way that I could have gotten through this year. But nonetheless, to lose this bet to Mayo at this point, and also, I mean, just the ultimate disappointment of seeing one of the local teams that you finally were able to wrap your arms around and embrace and say, wow, these guys are really exciting. They're very good.
Yep.
They're young guys. I remember interviewing Jonathan Huberdeau when he was a rookie, and I barely spoke, discernible English. And yet he just seemed like a really cool cat, like a very nice guy. Kind of guys, that you can warmly embrace. And, that was something that the Panthers had in the beginning of their existence, where they were very much entrenched and immersed and integrated into the community. And you don't see that as much anymore on the professional sports landscape, do you? I mean, you don't see like a lot of guys making appearances, or you're not likely to run into, Barkov at some bar somewhere, hoisting a few. Which was sort of, more common. Maybe not on that level, but back in the original inception of the franchise, right? You might run into a Brian Scrudlin or a Bill Lindsay
Oh yeah, all
or
the time.
Scott Millenby somewhere, right? They're buying. Hey, Scotty, nice game last night. That kind of thing.
Yep.
That was great, but it's not as provincial as it was back then. And, the team has struggled to get any kind of momentum going in terms of a public identity. And we know this city, like most cities, loves a winner. And it does not necessarily, unlike most cities, does not embrace tradition at all. So we'll see what happens with this thing. I'm hoping they close it out tonight, Louis. I don't want to suffer through a game 7.
Come on,
I really
man.
don't.
Tonight.
I would be more confident in a game 7 than I will be tonight in this game 6.
Tonight.
But I'm just hoping to get off the hook tonight. You know how you hit a guy a duck at the net in tennis and you're dead meat and it's match point and, the ball's up in the air and you see your life flashing in front of you and the guy somehow misses it and drives it right into the bottom of the net, loses that point, loses the game, loses the match, fires his racket against the fence and tells you to lose his number because he never wants to see your ugly face again. It happens, right? I'm hoping we get off the hook kind of easily tonight. And, maybe the Caps just choke a little bit themselves and get behind like 4-0 and never recover. So we'll see if that happens. We'll see you guys on Monday. Always great being here on the Defo Show. We'll catch you later on Believe Networks with our podcast. And also later on today on Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. That's Odyssey radio app around the world. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He's Mike Lubitz. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you next time as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:05.
Let's go, damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.